I and my first girlfriend, Casey. We resided in a wealthy area of town, peaceful, serene, the kind of area where nothing ever occurred. There were immaculate hedges on the streets, their green foliage freshly trimmed to perfection. Casey lived 2 blocks from me, close enough that I went to her house almost every night. It was a Thursday night during break that I went out. The night was thick with air, the kind of moisture that made it feel like the night itself was alive. I didn't have a curfew, so I stayed out longer. The stillness wrapped around me like a warm blanket, but then a movement behind me. I stopped in my track. The sound had come from the hedge on the sidewalk, a quivering of the branches. My heart pounded. I tilted my head fractionally enough to glance back, but nothing was there. The street was empty, the hedges not moving. I quickened my pace. A snapping twig. Closer. This time I came to a slower stop and spun completely around. The night was dark in front of me. The sidewalk lay empty ahead, but there was something amiss. The shadows between the bushes seemed darker, deeper. I felt eyes on me, watching. I swallowed hard and picked up speed. Casey's house loomed ahead, its golden glow beckoning me like a storm beacon. I grabbed my phone and called her. She picked up immediately. "I think someone is following me," I said, my voice shaking. "What?" Casey's voice snapped into attention. "Where are you?" "Almost there," I replied. "Just..." Footsteps, light, quick. I spun around. Nothing. But the air was off, heavy, as if something intangible had just disappeared into the night. Then I saw Casey at her bedroom window, looking down at me. Relief washed over me as she lifted a hand and waved. I waved back. Then she stiffened. Her eyes widened. "Who's that standing behind you?" she whispered. A chill struck me like a blow. My stomach churned. I turned. A man was hunched low, 10 feet behind me. He smiled. I screamed in the night as I ran for the door. Casey's mom flung it open just in time as I approached it, her face pale with terror. But before I could enter, something tugged me back. Cold fingers encircled my wrist. Tugging, I flailed, kicked, screamed. A foul breath brushed against my ear, and a voice, smooth as velvet, but with something horrific laced through it, breathed. "You always walk alone, don't you?" And then he let me go. I stumbled forward and collapsed on the porch. Casey's mother tugged me inside and shut the door behind her and locked it. I was shaking, hardly able to breathe. Casey was beside me, hands on either side of my face, softly saying, "It's okay. You're okay." The police came. They searched the streets. They couldn't find anyone. I did not sleep that night. I couldn't open my eyes without feeling him present, waiting, watching. The next evening, I had a text message on my phone from an unknown number. "You looked so lovely in fear. I'll be seeing you soon." I never walked alone afterwards. Till death do us part. It was a violently stormy night, the kind that sent shivers through the bones of our old house. Rain lashed against the windows, and thunder growled low, like something lurking in the shadows. I was curled up in my room, the TV humming mindless chatter, while my parents laughed in the living room at some sitcom, oblivious to the world outside. My sister was upstairs, the rapid clicks of her video game controller blending into the storm. I loved nights like these. They made me feel calm, safe. Then bang! I jumped, my heart slamming against my ribs. The sound came from my window. A shadowed figure stood just outside, his face blurred by the streaks of rain. His hands pounded against the glass. The muffled shape of his mouth moved, and even over the storm I heard his voice, raw, desperate. "Please, let me in." I'm hurt." I hesitated. I could barely see his features, but something about the way his body twisted, the way his fingers clawed at the window, felt wrong. Still, the rain was deafening. I cracked the window open. He screamed, not in pain, not in fear, but something else, something almost ecstatic. "Let me in." Panic seized me. I slammed the window shut. I ran to the living room, breathless. "Dad, there's a man outside. He's screaming for help." Then came the pounding at the front door. "Help me, please!" Dad moved toward the door, but I grabbed his arm. "Wait." Something in my gut told me not to open it. The phone rang. At the same moment, the TV flickered, revealing the caller ID, our next-door neighbor. Dad picked up, and then I heard him say it. A whisper, barely audible over the storm. "Number fucking way." His face paled. He turned to us, his voice trembling. "Stay away from the door." He hurried to the window, just a crack in the blinds, enough to see. His breath caught in his throat. I followed his gaze, and there, crouched on the front step, was the man. His lips curled into a grin, but his eyes, they were wild, gleaming with something animalistic. In his hand, he gripped a massive, rusted axe. Dad shouted, voice shaking, "Leave! The cops are coming!" The man didn't move, not at first. His smile widened, revealing jagged, yellowed teeth. And then, in a whisper so low I almost didn't hear it, "You don't remember me, do you?" A crackle of lightning illuminated his face for just a second, and I did remember him. A face from my past. A boy from long ago, from the days when I had been too young to know what love meant. But I had promised him once, in the innocence of childhood, "I will love you forever." I had moved on. He hadn't. And now he had come back with an axe and a promise to keep. Whispers in the dark. A love beyond the veil. The air was thick with the scent of something old, something forgotten. As a child, I always dreaded our old house basement. It was full of the noises of something I could not identify. While I watched my favorite cartoon one night, I heard my mother calling my name downstairs. Her voice was soft, enticing. I answered, but she did not respond. Again, she called. The pull was magnetic, something outside my understanding. I moved towards the basement, the darkness swallowing the stairs. "Mom?" I whispered. There was nothing. I felt a shift in the air, something against my skin like the presence of ghostly fingers. Fear took hold in my stomach, but even so, I inched forward. The basement was empty. My mother was nowhere to be found. But as I turned to leave, her voice echoed out again from the depths. "Come back, darling." I paused. My mother was upstairs. I could hear the soft hum of her footsteps overhead. Then who was calling me? A shiver crept up my spine and I bolted, my breathing ragged. I caught up with my mother in the kitchen, safe and unmolested by whatever had just masqueraded as her. When I explained, she simply enfolded me, murmuring reassurances I would never believe. But I knew the truth. Something else lived in that house, and it wanted me. Years later, my grandfather lived on a farm surrounded by silence and the weight of things forgotten. It was a remote life, which he shared with his wife, Mary Ann, and a dog, Sherry. Every evening, he walked the same path through the woods, the dying light casting the ground in crimson and gold. One evening, he encountered a stranger, a figure in darkness, hood pulled low, traversing the light of day that was fading fast. Sherry growled, pulling on the leash, but the stranger didn't even blink. My grandfather nodded his head in a friendly greeting, but the figure strode past him, as silent as a grave. And then Sherry kept looking back over her shoulder, barking, warning. When my grandfather finally turned around, he noticed the stranger staring at him from behind a tree, their figure burdened with something unnatural. He quickened his pace, his grip tightening on the pepper spray in his pocket. A rustling sound, footsteps, and then the heat, the pressure of a gloved hand across his mouth, depriving him of air. There was the stench of rotting something that filled the air. He bucked, his brain screaming as his body failed to. Sherry charged, snapping, teeth bared. In the confusion, his hand closed around the pepper spray and released its blaze on his attacker. A shout shattered the silence. The grip was released. He ran. He did not slow down. The shadows stretched out behind him, but they did not follow. When he reached home safely, Mary Ann caught him shaking, his chest barely moving, his skin chilled. That night, when in bed, he was sure he heard a voice whispering in his ear, soft, coaxing, familiar. Come back, darling. The truth we do not speak now. As a grown-up, I returned to that old house, to the basement that continues to breathe with unseen eyes. The whispers never stopped. Not truly. They merely became patient. And at the darkest moment of night, when the world is most vulnerable, I hear them once more, calling, begging, loving me in a way no living soul ever did. Perhaps someday I shall answer.